Welcome everyone. This is the Indian Express of 23rd September 2022 and I will explain this newspaper in 3 steps. First is why is the news? Second is what is the news? And third is what can be the future prospects of the news. So we will start with the first news, which is over 100 held in nationwide crackdown on PFI. Shah chairs high level meeting. So, why this news has come? Because many investigating agencies such as ED, National Investigation Agency, as well as Anti Terrorism Squad have searched the PFI offices, and Home Minister, who is Amit Shah, have also chaired several high level meetings in which top level officials were present. So, now what is the news? Officials say arrests are linked to outfits, which is PFI, alleged support for terror, and the PFI criticizes that it is a move to silence dissenting voices. So you see, both sides have their own prospect. Now, what happened? Launching a multi-agency operation spearheaded by NIA, which is National Investigation Agency, and also law enforcement agencies conducted searches across the country Thursday and arrested 106 workers of Popular Front of India PFI, including its chairman OMA Salam, for their alleged support to terror activities. So, what happened? NIA and other law enforcement agencies such as ED and ATS, which is Anti Terrorism Squad, they searched in whole country for the PFI officials and other their offices too, and including its chairman, who is OMA Salam. They searched, and then why this search was occurred? Because this PFI is being accused of supporting terror activities. So now the NIA, National Investigation Agency, sources said that wants to question the 18 means the person who are now arrested, on their leaders, details of money trail plus recovery of weapons and explosives. So their transaction, their funding that they are accused of, also about weapons and explosives that they have recovered till now. So this will be asked. Now, other statement of NIA said that these searches were conducted at the houses and offices of top PFI leaders. So, houses and offices, and also those members that were in connection with 5 cases registered by the NIA following continued inputs and evidence. So, first their offices and houses were searched, then also those members were investigated who were in connection with the 5 cases that were registered by the NIA. And why these cases were registered? Because NIA got some input and evidence that PFI leaders and cadres were involved in funding of terrorism and terrorist activities, plus organizing training camps for providing armed training as well as radicalizing people to join banned organizations. So this was the accusation. First was that they are involved in terrorism and terrorist activities, they are organizing training camps, and they are providing armed training. Also they are radicalizing more people to join this PFI. So many such accusations are for example, they are accused of chopping off the hand of a college professor, also some cold-blooded killings of person associated with organization, collection of explosives to target prominent places and people. Also they are accused of supporting Islamic State, which is a terror organization, also banned terror organization by United Nations Security Council. Plus, they are also accused of destructing public property that have demonstrative effect on striking terror in the minds of citizens. For example, they are accused of Delhi riots as well as Hathras riots that occurred. So, in a statement, the PFI, which is often accused by the law enforcement agencies of promoting radical Islam, so they are accused of promoting this radicalized Islam. They said that raids are taking place at the homes of national, state, and local leaders of PFI, and state committee office is also being raided. So their committee office, where they used to decide and do public meetings, were also raided. It criticized the government's move to use agencies to silence dissenting voices. They said whatever efforts, whatever voices they are now upholding are silenced by using these agencies. For example, they are calling for NIA, ATS, which is Anti-Terrorism Squad, as well as ED. So soon after the searches, many PFI workers staged a protest. So after the searches, they started protesting and they accused that this NIA is used as a tool to defame their organization, which is PFI. So now it was done in whole country. Various states were present. For example, Kerala, Karnataka. In Maharashtra, what occurred? Anti-terrorism squad. This ATS conducted searches at 12 places. That includes Pune and Mumbai, which are located inside the Maharashtra. And also, anti-terrorism squad arrested 20 people linked to this PFI. 4 offences have been registered against this PFI. What are the offences? These are registered in Mumbai, Nashik, Aurangabad, Nanded, under. So this is in Mumbai. This is in Maharashtra, which have cities like Mumbai, Nashik, Aurangabad, and Nanded. And what are the offences? These are Indian Penal Code section 153A, 121A, 109, 120B, and also UAPA section 13 1B. So UAPA is Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. And what does these penal codes means? It means that they were indulged in unlawful activities. Second, they were promoting enmity among communities. So it means that they were promoting hate among these communities. And also they are accused that they were conspiring to wage a war against the state, which means they were trying to go against the state in terms of waging a war. Now what does the PFI have said as a statement? They said that these raids are illegal and unconstitutional. So they said that we condemn the arrest of PFI National Executive Council and state unit members. So they are not clearly happy. Also they condemn this arrest of both these members under false terror charges. Members of such organizations are framed and their lives are ruined by keeping them behind bars for years. So PFI is accusing that their members, their leaders, their executive council, all are held by these organizations under false terror charges. So he said that those members that have been arrested are kept in the prison and then their lives are ruined. So now what is the next action? The PFI will be holding protest in Pune on Friday to condemn the action. So, now what is the future prospects of this news? We see more and more searches will occur now from now on, and also this case will go to court as well. And if you don't know, then this PFI is also linked with hijab ban kind of activities that they were involved in, uh, claiming the women to wear hijab, and social media were circulating messages of them. So also these matter will also be linked in the court. Now we will go to a second news, which is Supreme Court asks if EWS needs affirmative action, not reservation. So why this news? Because from I think more than a week, Supreme Court is working on determining whether this 103rd constitutional amendment, which is giving 10% reservation to economically weaker section, is constitutional or unconstitutional, which means if it uh, violates the basic structure of the constitution or not. So observing that economic backwardness, unlike caste backwardness, can be temporary. So caste is by birth, it is fixed, but people can be poor and they can become rich. So economic backwardness can be temporary. So a constitution bench of Supreme Court Thursday asked if problems of EWS can be addressed through affirmative measures like providing scholarships and fee concessions instead of reservation. So they are now talking of if it can be a possibility that these people, these sections that are economically weaker, can be helped by affirmative action such as providing a scholarship, fee concessions, instead of giving 10% reservation. So what was the discussion? Chief Justice UU Lalit said that economic backwardness can be temporary. Also, he is now a president over a 5-judge constitution bench who is hearing petitions that challenge the Constitution 103rd Amendment. So this is the amendment by which 10% quota was provided to EWS categories in government jobs and admissions. So also the bench that comprises other justices such as Dinesh Maheshwari, S. Ravind Bhatt, Pela M. Trivedi, J.B. Pardiwala, they also have some doubts about how this EWS category will be defined. They say that they posed questions on the indeterminability, which means which cannot be determined, of the EWS category, and why it cannot be determined because of absence of any well defined guidelines. Since 8 lakh annual income was fixed, and also some acres of land and agriculture land was fixed, but there is not a well defined guidelines, because Supreme Court has asked that how government have come to this threshold of 8 lakh, how have it fixed 8 lakh, why not 7 lakh, why not 9 lakh? So this was asked by Supreme Court to the government. So now Justice Maheshwari too pointed out that there is no methodology at all, and there are no guidelines as to who would constitute EWS, which means it cannot be determined who are the people who come under EWS, because it has already questioned the threshold, income and other things, that how government have concluded this. Mehta said that a constitution amendment cannot be struck down because many people have appealed to Supreme Court that this constitution is unconstitutional. But he said that a constitutional amendment cannot be struck down until and unless it violates the basic structure. And also this amendment, which is 103rd amendment, that introduces 10% quota for EWS. He said that the amendment does not destroy the basic structure, but rather it strengthens the preamble, because preamble have a line which is justice, socio-economic and political, which means that state have to provide to its own citizen justice of three kinds: social, economical and political. So he said that it strengthens the preamble by giving justice, economic justice, which is fundamental part of the preamble. Now Mehta submitted that while the constitution provides for reservation for scheduled caste, scheduled tribes and also socially, educationally backward classes on the touchstone of adequacy of such representation. So why does this reservation is provided? Reservation is provided for SCs, STs and these socially, educationally backward classes because there is less representation of these people in colleges, schools, educational institutions as well as in jobs. So in order to enhance their representation, such reservations are given. So now he said that same can in no way create an exclusionary principle which stops the constituent power of parliament to provide a special measure for different reasons. So SCs, STs and socially economically backward classes are provided reservation because they do not have adequate representation in education institution as well as government jobs and other jobs. So the same way can be used for economically weaker section also for some different regions. So this was the reason for SCs and STs and other. There can be some other reasons for which the parliament can make special measures for these EWS. Now it was also discussed that poverty and or economic weakness is not merely a financial reality. He said that poor people are not just financially weak. Economic weakness is also a social reality. It just not means about money. It is also connected to society. That means it is also a social reality and it has close connection with the societal and educational parameters, because you may have seen that poor people do not have much social representation. Also in education sector they are also very much backward. If you see the literacy rates of poor, they are a lot less than expected. So caste is not only indicator of social backwardness. He said that not only caste can be an indicator of social backwardness. Social backwardness could be caused by other factors also. And any classification or societal identification outside the caste axis on other socio-economic indicators cannot be said to constitutionally perverse. Which means that not only caste is just an indicator of social backwardness, the economic backwardness or poverty can also be a classification, and this poverty is outside the caste axis, outside the domain of caste, but it cannot be said that it is unconstitutional. He said that while caste is a notably reality, we see caste-based discrimination also in society, but it is not the only society indicator of standing. But it does not simply mean that only poor or only the backward classes are facing trauma of the society. Poor classes are also facing a lot. So that is not unconstitutional. This is by Mehta. So you see, this discussion is going on continuously in Supreme Court about this EWS. So this discussion is taking a new turn every single day. We will see next day what is the new discussion. So now first page have These news coming to our second page. This has more of political news, more China pages, so these pages are not that important. Now coming to hijab ban. So I told you that PFI is accused of its linkage with the hijab controversy. So this is about Karnataka hijab ban. So why is this news? Because I told you that PFI was accused to have linkage with this controversy. The statement says that state linked PFI to ban to prejudice case, Supreme Court told. So Muslim appellants who have challenged the Karnataka hijab ban. So Karnataka government have passed a order, but these appellants have challenged that order before the Supreme Court on Thursday. They objected to state government linking protest over the issue to Popular Front of India. So these appellants have objected that state government is linking this hijab issue to PFI and claim that it was done to prejudice their case. So they do not want their case to be linked to PFI. They said they want to make them feel lower or feel hatred. I regret to say that Solicitor General raised this issue. This was by senior advocate Dushyant Dev, who is appearing for some of the appellants. He said that Solicitor General raised this issue. It is not an issue which is relevant at all for the purpose of determination here. He said that this issue, this PFI is not relevant at all with hijab controversy. I further regret to say that he, which means Solicitor General Tushar Mehta, have raised it and entire media picked it up. So we have seen a lot of headlines coming in about this controversy and linkage of PFI. He said that this person, Solicitor General have raised it and entire media make it more a kind of bluff. So what really occurred? In 2022, a movement started on social media by an organization called PFI, and the movement, as the FIR which was lodged, subsequently suggested. So this social media he submitted. This is accusation against this PFI that in 2022 they started a movement on social media. PFI started a movement and there was an FIR which was filed. And what does that FIR suggest? It suggests that this movement was designed, this movement by PFI was designed to create a kind of agitation based on religious feelings of the people. So that means it was created to make a controversy, make a hate based on religious feelings of the people, and as a part there were continuous social media messages to start wearing hijab. So he said that there were continuous flow of these messages that women should start wearing hijab. Now what does Mehta say? He said that electronic media, print media, everybody, the headline was Popular Front of India. We have seen this in TV that everywhere it was PFI, although it is not part of the arguments at all. He said that this is just a bluff of media. PFI has no linkage with hijab ban controversy. So this was it. We are seeing PFI in a bad situation right now, both from the hijab cases as well as from other institutions and investigation agencies. So we will see how this PFI is, in fact, it is linked or not. We will see that in future. Now coming to government and politics page, you see a headline: Food Ministry, domestic prices of rice may continue to increase. So why is this news? Because you may have seen that this was a monsoon deficient, in fact rainfall deficient year. So that is why it was expected that rice will be less, but not less than it was expected. It means that the production is more less than our expectation. So a day after, Agriculture Ministry pegged Kharif rice output at 104.99 million tons, lower. So last year was 111.76 million tons, but this time it is just 104. So the Food Ministry on Thursday said that domestic prices of rice are showing increasing trend, and it may continue to increase due to lower production forecast and higher non-basmati export. So this is simple economics. When the product is less in the market, their prices increase. So domestic price of rice may increase. In fact, it is showing an increasing trend because of lower production forecast, and also non-basmati exports have increased. These are higher in the country. So Kharif rice production estimates are lower than the target. So it was targeted that this year it will be 112 million tons set for the current season. Production of 105.21 metric ton for 2020-21. So how much this production is less? The likely shortfall, so it is just an estimate, likely shortfall in area and production of paddy for the Kharif season 2022 is 6%. This is a likely shortfall in area and production of paddy for 2022 Kharif season, 6%. So this was all. Now we will move to explain page, which has given a short history of PFI. So this is now about PFI, what they are accused for, why they are now held by the investigating agencies. So what is the organization accused of terrorist activities that was raided by the NIA in 15 states across the country? What are the allegations against the PFI, and what is the political footprint of the organization? So this is about question and answer based. No, this is not question answer based. This is simply put. It's not a question and answer based, which usually comes in Indian Express. So we see National Investigation Agency (NIA) on Thursday carried out searches and raids at 93 locations across 15 states of our country, that include major states such as Kerala, Karnataka, Maharashtra, and they arrested 45 people linked to Popular Front of India. Now this NIA action was linked to investigation in 5 cases that were registered under Unlawful Activities Prevention Act 1967, that is mainly for terror activities, which is unlawful activities, including RC 14 2022 NIA DLI, which the agency registered on April 13, 2022 under the instruction from Union Ministry of Home Affairs. So you should know that these NIA, ED, all of these come under the Ministry of Home Affairs. So this case is a broad investigation. They are now following credible information gathered by the central government that office bearers and members of PFI are collecting funds from India and abroad for committing terrorist attacks. So what exactly is the reason for investigation? So these agencies want to find out information, and this information was previously gathered by the central government So now they want to investigate about the information that was gathered by central government, that the members of PFI and also these office bearers of PFI, there was accusation that these people are collecting funds from India and also abroad for committing terrorist attack. So while seeking remand for some of those arrested on Thursday, NIA alleged that PFI has been involved. So this is allegation by NIA that this PFI have been involved in recruiting Muslim youths for proscribed organizations such as ISIS and in providing training to its members to carry out terrorist acts. So there is accusation that they are recruiting youth for ISIS. NIA was reportedly accompanied by officials of Directorate of Enforcement. In June this year, ED filed prosecution complaints against the PFI, and also a money was attached for money laundering act. For money laundering, it means that they were accused that 68.62 lakh was laundered, and this was attached under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act 2022. What was the claim? It was claimed that PFI was covertly mobilizing fund through well organized networks in the Gulf countries. It means that they were sending funds in the Gulf countries. What about PFI? What is this organization about? Motto and its history. So PFI was created 2007 through the merger of three Muslim organizations in southern India. First is National Democratic Front, Kerala. Second, Karnataka Forum for Dignity, and third is Manitha Niti Pasarai in Tamil Nadu. So why this was a decision to bring these three outfits? Because a decision to bring the three outfits together, and when it was taken November 2006 at a meeting in Kozhikode in Kerala. The formation of PFI was formally announced at a rally in Bangalore during an Empower India conference on February 2007. So this was the date, February 16, 2007. Under the rally of Empower India conference, this formation of PFI was announced. So now PFI was emerged following the ban on Student Islamic Movement of India. So this is SIMI, which was banned, has projected itself as an organization that fights for rights of minority, because this SIMI was linked. In fact, it was found that this organization was linked to some kind of terror and unlawful activities. So this was banned, and then PFI raised. It projected itself as an organization that fights for right of minorities, Dalits, also marginalized communities. It has frequently targeted the alleged anti-people policies. So it has targeted policies that it claimed that these are anti-people, and policies of Congress, BJP, JDS in Karnataka, even as these parties have accused one another of being in cahoots with the PFI to gather the support of Muslim at a time of election. So these parties, Congress, BJP and JDS, they accuse each other that the opposition party is linked with PFI to gather support of Muslim. So they are accusing that these are coordinating with PFI to make their Muslim vote bank a safety and security. PFI has never itself contested elections and never have been involved in carrying out social Islamic religious work among Muslims on the lines of work done by right-wing groups such as Vishwa Hindu Parishad and Hindu Jagrar Vedike among Hindus. This means that they never performed any kind of Islamic religious work for Muslims, such as other groups are performing. Like the radical Hindu groups, PFI does not maintain records of its members, no records of its members, and it has been difficult for law enforcement agencies to pin crimes on the organization after making arrest. So no record, that is why it becomes uneasy for organization. What occurred in 2009? Political outfit that was named Social Democratic Party of India that evolved out of the PFI. And what was the aim? The aim was to taking up the political issues of Muslims, Dalits, and other marginalized communities. The SDPI stated goal is the statement is so what is the goal? We have a statement with us: advancement and uniform development. Advancement and uniform development, which means uniform, all and equal development of all citizenry, including Muslim, Dalits, backward classes, and Adivasis, and to share power fairly among all citizens. This is their goal. PFI is a key provider of ground workers for the SDPI political activities. What is the political footprint of PFI? So PFI SDPI has influence mainly in the regions with large Muslim populations. They have some presence there. SDPI has built presence in coastal Dakshina Kannada, Udupi, where it has one local polls for village, town and city councils. So it has some political presence. For example, SDPI have one local polls in Kannada and Dakshin Kannada and Udupi. So until 2013, SDPI contested only local elections and had won seats in 21 civic constituencies around the state. 2018, it has won 121 local body seats. 2021, it captured 3 local councils in Udupi district. So you see a lot of political presence there. 2013 onward, SDPI has fielded candidates in election to the Karnataka Assembly and also to the Parliament. Its most creditable performance came in 2013 state election, when it finished second in the Narsimha Raj seat, which is a part of Mysore Lok Sabha constituencies. So it finished second at that seat. In 2018, the SDPI came third in Narsimha Raj behind the Congress and BJP, which means it was evolving as a political party, winning over 20% of the votes. SDPI also contested 2014-2019 Lok Sabha election for Dakshin Kannada seat and could win only 1% and 3% vote respectively. So PFI has a strong presence in part of Kerala. SDPI and PFI have also gathered traction in states. So it also have spread its influence in states such as Maharashtra, Bihar, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, but not have much wins, which means it has not been established till now as a major party. It has just registered a few electoral wins. What are the allegations against this PFI? Although the PFI has not been proscribed by the government of India, BJP party has often tried to paint the group as being extremist. And why? The reason of being pro-Muslim stance. In Karnataka, BJP has often cited murders of workers of right-wing groups that were affiliated to BJP by alleged PFI cadre to seek a ban on the organization. What does that mean? It means that BJP wants to seek a ban on PFI. That is why it is accusing that this PFI has murdered workers of right-wing groups that were affiliated to its party. However, out of more than 310 cases registered against the PFI in Karnataka since 2010, only 5 have seen convictions. So 5 have been found guilty out of 310 cases. After Thursday raid, NIA said a large number of criminal cases have been registered by different states over the last few years against the PFI. And the leaders and members of PFI were accused for their involvement in many violent acts. Many accusations were put on them. For example, that it was accused that they chopped off hand of a college professor. Also, there were accusation that they did cold-blooded killings of person associated with organization espousing other faith, collection of explosive to target prominent people and places, support to Islamic State, destruction of public property have had demonstrative effect on striking terror in the minds of citizens. So this was, I explained this in front page. What is the SDPI's reaction to raids? So SDPI said the raids were an attempt by BJP government to intimidate its opponent by using NIA and ED. They said that they used this investigating agencies to intimidate them, to make them fearful. The nationwide raids on the resistance of the leaders are affirmative sign on effort to stifle dissenting voice, which means that these raids on the residence of leaders of PFI are efforts to make the voices of PFI silent. In the past few years, in which the mainstream political parties have become mute about the fascist atrocities in the country, which means that mainstream political parties, they are saying that SDPI is saying that political parties such as BJP, such as Congress and other parties have become mute about the conditions, about the violent conditions, atrocities that are faced by the sections of population such as Dalit Muslims. It has been the Popular Front of India and Social Democratic Party of India that have taken up the role of opposition. They means that they have taken up the issues of the atrocities that are faced by those people in the country. SDPI National President MK Faizi, he said this in a statement. The regime has failed to prove any offense of anti-national activities or financial misappropriation despite their incessant allegations and raids, which means that they have raided all these things. They have put all the allegations, but they have failed. The government has failed to prove any offenses of anti-national activities or terror funding or any financial misappropriation, money laundering. They have done raids and put allegations, but they have not found it and proved it. So this was about PFI. All of things are now clear. We will move to our next page, which is economy section. So there is a news at 80.86, rupee dives to new low against dollar. So rupee fell 90 paise to record low of 80.86 against dollar on Thursday, after the US Federal Reserve raised its interest rate by 17 basis points and hinted at more hikes in the future. What does that mean? I will explain you simply. US and other countries such as Europe, UK are facing immense inflation. So for example, when India faces immense inflation, what does the RBI do? They hike the rate by for example, RBI have raised their hikes by 40 basis point, 50 basis point, then again 50 basis point. So same way the US Federal Reserve also raises its interest rate by 75 basis point in order to tame the inflation. Now this has an effect all over the world, and India has its effect on the currency. Whenever the Federal Reserve raises its interest rate, then the rupee fell by some paise or rupee. So this was done. Now this is about US, why they done. So this is not that important because it is not an India related news. Next come the world news. This is about Iran, then Trump and Lister. No more India news. But there is one news that is important. Troop mobilization starts a day after Putin's call, some men leave Russia, and UN Security Council meets over Ukraine. So why is this news has come? Because Russia president have announced that more and more people will be uh, recruited. More and more people will be recruited for military services. So what is the reaction in Russia? A day after Russian President Vladimir Putin announced a call-up that could see 300,000 civilians swept into military service, thousands of Russians across the country have received draft papers, and these were bundled into buses for training. So this was announcement that Vladimir Putin wants to see 300,000 civilians into military services. What happened next? That people were bundled into buses for training, and soon possibly to the front lines in Ukraine. So they were put in buses and they will be now left in the front lines in Ukraine, according to witnesses, local media reports. Also, what is the reaction? Several men started to left Russia in order to avoid getting the call up. They are now leaving Russia, and where are they going? Some have left the country in a rush paying rising prices to catch flights. They now moved catch flights to countries such as Armenia, Georgia, Montenegro and Turkey that allows them to enter without visa. So now they have flew. What happened in UN Security Council? Nuclear threat was discussed. UN Security Council met on Thursday to discuss Russia's war in Ukraine and its veiled threats, which means hidden threats of using nuclear weapons. So this was all for today's newspaper. Now you can read the newspaper by yourself as well.